Hello there guys, welcome back to Younes Talks Football. I hope all of you are doing well today as we get into the latest, and I feel like this video is going to be a really important one. And it's an important one because I think us as Chelsea fans can see what's coming. If you're shrewd enough and if you've been around here long enough, you can see it. There's a storm. You can see those dark clouds in the distance. They're not quite here yet, but they're being aimed at here. So we got to talk about a few things to try and prevent it or to try and protect ourselves for when it does get here. We're going to get into that very shortly. But before we do, let's start off with just the normalities, right? We're going to start with Raheem Sterling. Raheem Sterling has come out today, had opportunities to move, and we already know that. But there was one that we didn't hear about, which apparently went down. And guess what happened? Well, let's show you, and then I'll tell you what he did. Actually, this will explain what he did. I'll give you my thoughts. Here it is. Bayern Munich made a late attempt in the summer to convince Raheem Sterling to join them. It is perhaps not that surprising given former Man City teammate Vincent Kompany is the head coach. A move for Sterling was raised during discussions with Chelsea over the loan deal for Nicholas Jackson. Some will inevitably question how Sterling can say no to a club that will provide a great opportunity to compete for major honours. But the sources close to Sterling point out that he was reluctant to move his family to Germany or be away from them for what could be 9 months, especially with little guarantee of featuring regularly. He had a good relationship with Mikel Arteta, who worked as Pep Guardiola's assistant from 2016 to 2019 from their time together at the Etihad Stadium, yet that did not make a difference regarding game time while at Arsenal. So, I'm this close to saying this guy. Yeah, I'm this close. If we get one more tiny, wincy, little, small update on Sterling like this, I'm going to start calling him this guy. Realistically, I think I should, but I'm in a good mood. So I don't want to be too strong. You know, I don't get it. You are a professional footballer at what's meant to be the highest level. This is what happens in the game. Sometimes you have to move based on the opportunity that comes your way. Now, unless there's one elephant in the room, which we all have to discuss, and I think that's what's going on here. And what is it? Well, this guy cares more about how much money he's getting than the football he's playing. Simple as that. There were opportunities to move. You had Bayern Munich coming for you as well. You turned it down. For what? Because you don't want to spend 9 months away? Welcome to the life of a Premier League footballer, sometimes where a big club from elsewhere comes for you and there's no other opportunity, and especially when you're not playing. Well, but it looks like Sterling wants to get all the same circumstances that he's got at Chelsea, but without really doing it at Chelsea. Let me get this straight. You actually kind of had that when you went on loan to Arsenal, but guess what happened? You didn't play well. So we got to be realistic here. We got to be realistic. Are you really bothered about playing football? Or are you just happy to sit and just get 325 grand a week? Now, some would say, you know what? Yeah, if that's what he's getting and it's his contract, then let him. Yeah, that's the predicament we're in. And legally, there's nothing wrong with that. Personally, even with him, technically, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, if he wants to see out his contract and just show up to train and whatnot, cool. But no one try and tell me that he's actually ambitious about playing football anymore. It's as simple as that. This man does not want to leave based on what he's getting. And this is also why I feel now we are going down a certain route, and I'm going to show you others that are going down a certain route that are not willing to pay players this sort of salary anymore unless they are literally a world beater. You know, you go and you spend what you spend on Alexander Isak, for example, and you give him good money. Yes, that makes sense. But apart from that, it's just not viable. There's only a select few amount of footballers that deserve that sort of money now. And we got to be honest, the quality is starting to really dip, isn't it? Look at the Ballon d'Or that just went past. I mean, respect to Dembele for winning it, yeah? I think he deserves it. But let's be honest. It wasn't too long ago. Now, forget Ronaldo and Messi. Actually, you can even leave Ronaldo and Messi in here. But even winners prior to Ronaldo and Messi, do you think of baller like Dembele or Rafinha or even Vinicius, who finished 16th after finishing second? What a surprise. Do you think these level of footballers are really, really Ballon d'Or worthy? No. No. They're not far, but they're not there. They're like the next class down from the truly elite, you know? But we are starting to get scarce amounts of elite footballers. Right now, someone tell me who is well and truly really elite. I'll give you one player who could head there, which is Lamine Yamal. But I'm not so sure his lifestyle is going to allow him to get there, I'll be honest. He's not had a good start in terms of lifestyle. It looks like his head's already getting carried away. He needs guidance around him. This is why I look at Esteval and I'm like, maybe there's one of those in there. Cole Palmer, I believe, is also one of those that can hit there. But they're not there yet. Talking truly elite. So paying big money for players nowadays, in some sense, it doesn't even make it viable. It's not even logical. Hence why we're now going to multi-club ownerships and all of that, which we're going to get to because there's another club in the Premier League that have decided to go down the same route. But that's the latest on Sterling. Let me know your thoughts. Now, before we get to all of that, I want to show you something in regards to Matt Law and what he said earlier on today about Nicholas Jackson and what he also said about Maresca. Let's get into this. This is where we're going to start talking about that storm. Pay attention. Here's the latest on Jackson. Jackson isn't in a Champions League squad, so even if they sell him, he will not count towards complying with UEFA's rules. If they sell Sterling, Disasi, they won't count. To bring players in next summer, they're going to have to trade and sell first-team players. Oh boy. And newsflash, the UEFA settlement that we have is active for 4 years. Someone's going to have to go then. I know already who people have got in mind. And I'll be honest, if someone makes a move for him, I do see Chelsea entertaining it. And that's Enzo Fernandez. Because that's a substantial amount of money that we can get. Trevor Chalobah, pure profit. That's another one that we can get. Those ones are players together that could generate close to 200 million. Realistically. Chalobah's really active and he's playing as well. So he could go for a high fee and he's still fairly young. So that's something we have to bear in mind. But, yeah. And there we were talking about just Jackson getting sold. And that's just going to, that will help the books. Well, yeah, in the Premier League, perhaps. Not for the UEFA competitions. Honestly, if it was me, I'd honestly just scrap FFP altogether. I've had enough. FFP, PSR, VAR, anything with 3 letters, get rid. Like, I've had enough of it. Honestly, it's a complete sham. It's a complete sham. People getting scammed. And people talking about actually being fair play. The whole point of FFP and the ideology of FFP was to help the smaller clubs, no? Someone please explain to me if the smaller clubs are benefiting from this. They're not. In fact, they're being constrained even more. Why? Because FFP relies on what? You can only spend if you're bringing in a certain amount of revenue into your club. There's certain percentages that you need to have. Once you trigger those, great. If you don't, tough. But that goes to all the clubs. The only thing with the big clubs is they can do it on a bigger scale. We spent the money that we spent because we also sold for £300 million. Liverpool spent 500 million because they didn't spend for the last couple of years and they did actually save up the ability to do so. On the books, they're actually quite balanced. Small clubs don't have that luxury. They don't generate that revenue. So what's the truth here? It's not really about helping the smaller clubs, is it? In fact, it's constrained them even more. I would just scrap it and just let whichever owner comes into a club and is willing to spend, is willing to spend. If someone walks into Crystal Palace tomorrow and is a multi-billionaire and they end up in European football playing Champions League, well, so be it. But that's just a free and fair market, realistically, yeah? I mean, that's what I would do. But now everyone's constrained. And because they're constrained, we're going to have to talk about multi-club models and all of that. But we're going to come to that in a sec because, like I said, there is a team that's willing to do all of that. But Jackson, yes, not in the Champions League squad. If we sell him, he doesn't count. Great. So we need players to go for next season then. And I wonder who. Let me know if you've got any names in mind. Like I said, I think Enzo and Chalobah will be first in mind if I'm being completely honest. So there's that. Now, Chelsea are under fire here. Now, this isn't to do with the storm. This is to do more with Chelsea's own doing. And Chelsea's own doing is tickets. Now, I have to bring this up because there's been a statement from the Chelsea Supporters Trust and there's a major outrage, and correctly so. Here's the latest from the Telegraph. So Chelsea are facing a major ticket price revolt over Jose Mourinho's return to Stamford Bridge as Benfica manager. Supporters are absolutely fuming after the club announced Tuesday's Champions League game has been designated Category AA. where cost is up to £83. That's crazy. For a Champions League a Champions League phase game. It's not even a group game where there was only 6 games to play. Now it's a league phase game where there's 8 games to play. It's even more of less value. It's even less value. I've gone the other route. RIP English. But the Chelsea Supporters Trust have released a statement. So, condemning the ticket pricing and communication failures for the Champions League fixtures. The Chelsea Supporters Trust is deeply concerned with the club's handling of ticket sales for upcoming Champions League fixtures. Recent decisions have been marked by poor communication, unjustifiable price increases, and a disregard for supporters. The message is clear: stop exploiting our loyalty. The 4 pillars being poor communication, unjustified price increases, removal of concession pricing, wider concerns on top of that, and they've also put a call to action at the very end. Now, you can go and check that out for yourselves and read the entire statement. I can't do it because if I did, I'd be here for 10 minutes. That's a long statement. But these are all valid. I don't get what Chelsea were trying to do when they were going down this route for the ticket increases and all of that. Tickets are seeing a 77.5 increase for a league stage match compared to many tickets from last season's Conference League semi-final. Now, that's understandable because the revenue, the winner in the Conference League pocketed, how much did we get? 17 million? You get that in the group stage in playing Champions League. It's not even a debate. But what we are used to seeing in the Champions League, in the group stage, when it was the group stage, now we're playing a league phase game, realistically, it shouldn't be going to 83 quid. It just shouldn't. These sort of games, 45, 50, 60, 65, around there, 83? Bloody hell. And they've decided to put it as a AA pricing category match, and I don't understand why. This is Benfica. If it was Barcelona, yes, cool. But I think just because it's Jose Mourinho coming back to the bridge with Benfica, the club have looked at this as an opportunity to try and get more revenue. And I don't think that's correct. You don't base it on every individual game. To that extent, you base it on the competition and the stage of the competition that you're playing in. Premier League. AA, AAA, flipping just normal categories. You're playing your Burnleys and your Southamptons and your Evertons and all of that. Cool, fair enough. You charge a lower fee. After that, you start playing Arsenal, Man City at the bridge, Man United and all of that. Okay, there's a certain category. But Benfica at home in the Champions League phase doesn't warrant the pricing that you would get in a quarter-final. We're talking Champions League quarter-final sort of pricing now. Maybe even semi. Come on. That's too much. It's too much. So fans have genuinely been affected by this one, and they don't want to go to watch Chelsea Benfica. Are there going to be empty seats? Can Chelsea try and do something in the short term before the game actually comes around? Maybe. That Chelsea were also doing this weird bundle. They tried to offer fans a bundle so you can get like multiple Champions League games for a certain price, and I'm just like, okay, never seen that one before. But for the fans that didn't go and get the bundle, now they're faced with the consequence of having to pay 83 quid. That's not right. You know, it's not right. So we'll see. Leading up to the game, if Chelsea are going to have a change of heart, if it's going to show that we're not sold out and all of a sudden Chelsea do something, which is what I'm guessing is going to happen. Let's wait and see what goes down for that Mourinho return. It's going to be a good one anyway. Now, the Storm. Let's talk about that Storm. Matt Law decided to talk about Enzo Maresca and his recent digs. Well, here it is. Everything's a dig by Maresca, he says. It's the defence, it's the striker, it's this, it's that. Owners these days just do not stand for it. They don't stand managers and coaches taking pop after pop after pop at them. Do you see what's going on here? And then there was also this from, CFCPYS, so Max, who did come out with this detail, saying, under Chelsea's model, each coach agrees upon signing that they do not have any increased transfer power, and they agree that they coach with what they're given. The collaboration over transfers is over profiles, not names. Chelsea want Maresca to get on with things and feel there is more than enough in the squad to get consistent results. You see, when you read that, I have to be honest, I understand both sides here. I understand both. I do believe there's enough quality in the squad to get decent results. Yeah? There is enough quality in the squad to not go and put in a stinker against Man United. There is enough quality in the squad to not look like we're struggling against Lincoln. There is enough quality in the squad to make sure we don't concede in the last minute against Brentford, although that can happen, I guess, but it was our own doing stupidly. There is enough quality in the squad to not be naive and dumb against a Champions League top team like Bayern Munich. I do think this is the case. We're not scrubs. But at the same time, what Maresca has said is true. He's not lied. When Liverpool buy who they bought, that is intent on winning the Premier League and the Champions League. That does show intent. Now, does that in turn mean that Chelsea are completely incapable? No. But at the same time, what he's saying is true. However, what I will say as well, Maresca, look, I'm going to say this now because, like I said, we can see a storm coming from a mile away. Let me call it as it is here, yeah? Because Matt Law is talking as well. There's about to be a campaign against Maresca. I truly believe now we're going to get journalists looking at Maresca from eyes of hawks. Yeah? Literally. They are onto him. If we don't win against Brighton, we don't start picking up some results, I guarantee the scrutiny that the media are going to put on Enzo Maresca to pile the pressure on of his job, I could guarantee he's going to go tenfold. And is that correct? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is why I'm talking about it now, because I can see what's coming. I do think there is one thing that Maresca needs to do. Maresca needs to do one thing here to protect himself. And that is be real and be logical and play the players that deserve a chance now. And there's two within the fan base that most of the fans will agree with here. And I think it's clear. Achampong needs an opportunity in defence, at centre-back. Reece James needs to be playing at right-back, for sure. Not Gusto. Reece James. Andre Santos needs to play midfield with Caicedo now. End of story. And we need to see players like Esteval playing week in, week out. Because he's ready, he's good enough, and he can play. We need to try and maximise our potential here to win games. If Maresca does the things that everyone can see is logical, no one's going to be on his back. At least from us. But the media, like Matt Law here is pointing out, making it seem like, oh no, Maresca, you just got to keep your mouth shut now and just say nothing, right? Maresca will only help himself with what he says if he does what he can do with the team at his disposal, which is exactly what I've just mentioned now. If you don't do that, then there's always going to be a case that, look, you've got options to turn to and you're not turning to them. That's your problem, which is true. But at the same time, the fact that we are 5 games in and we can see exactly what's coming is insane. Considering Maresca has actually achieved more than what people thought. We ended the season last season when many, myself included, no one thought we'd get top 4. We got top 4. He actually did it. We went on to the Club World Cup. People were mocking us and saying we're not going to go far. We went and bloody won the whole thing and beat PSG convincingly in the final. Everyone was in Maresca's good books at that point. Everyone was like talking bigging up Maresca. Media included. 5 games into the season, not the best of starts. We're 6, 2 points behind Arsenal. And you can see where it's going. You can see where it's going. There's pressure being put on Maresca already. It would be insane to even think of sacking him at this point. It's ridiculous. Who are we bringing in? People are going to say, let's slap Areola from Bournemouth. Why? I would wait to see what Maresca is capable of with the actual changes that I think he does need to make. And if he does make them, then cool. At that point, we can fully analyse. But even then, I'd like everyone to be fit. I'd like everyone to be available. I would like him to have more games into the season with the squad and some of the players that he's just gotten started with. I would let the guy work a little bit, man. People need to get out this mindset as well that we are going to actually win every single game. And the moment we drop one game, it's all guns blazing. Oh my God, it's a crisis. We're going to lose everything. We're crap. It's a loss. It's one loss. That happens. Man City dropped off off the face of the earth last season. What happened? Did they sack Pep instantly? No. But that's Pep, and we understand he's managed to build that at Man City. But the same applies across the board here. Let the guy work for a little bit. Now, if it gets to Christmas and things are tanking, well, at that point, it's a different conversation. At that point, has he lost a dressing room? Have things happened behind the scenes? But we don't know. We don't know. So we can't be jumping to conclusions. And that's one thing about making sure you avoid being one extreme or the other extreme. There's a lot of grey in between. And that's normally where the facts lie. So, personally, I'm just saying, this isn't even on us or even the club. This is on the media. The media are getting themselves ready to attack Maresca. We can see it from a mile away. We're not having it. It's as simple as that. They can all jog on. So, that's that. But Maresca does need to do the right thing. Give those opportunities to those that do need to play right now. Because if you keep doing the same thing over and over again and you're expecting different results, you all know the saying, that's the definition of insanity. And he's not an insane guy. So let's see how it all goes from here. Fingers crossed we win against Brighton. We can pick up from there. To end, I'm going to show you two things here, and it's about Liverpool. Firstly, Hugo Ekitike is set to be docked 2 weeks' wages for his lack of discipline when he got sent off against Southampton on Tuesday. Arne Slot is not messing around, and this is completely true. This is facts, and I agree with what Liverpool have done here. Yeah, Ekitike scored the goal against Southampton in the 85th minute. Okay, as usual, because Liverpool always score in the last 5-10 minutes, flipping out every single game. But he took off his T-shirt and got sent off because he got a second yellow. What a clown. Like, I get you're full of emotion. You don't need to take your shirt off. You just don't. And come on. If this was a Champions League or something, to an extent, I might understand. Yeah, if you've got a last-minute win against Barcelona, you might get carried away. Cool. But you done it against Southampton, mate. You know, and all you did was get your team to the fourth round. It's calm down. You don't need to take your shirt off, and it's lack of discipline. Arne Slot here is completely correct. So fair play to Arne Slot. I think he's done the absolute correct thing here. So Ekitike, dock 2 week wages. Good statement. Don't do it again, basically, is the message there. And I don't think he will. 2 weeks is a very good amount. Now, we're going to end on this with Liverpool. Check this out and pay attention. Fenway Sports Group, FSG, have completed due diligence on Getafe and are considering their next move as they look to build their multi-club model. I wanted to show you this because this is important. Yeah, and it goes back to my point on FFP and all of that. This is why we're getting this. If it wasn't for FFP and all that, there'd be no point to a multi-club model. Everyone can just spend what they want. But that's the whole point. Clubs are now looking, and especially Liverpool now after spending 500 million, they're not going to be able to do that next season again. This was a one-time deal, and they did maximise everything from it. But what I will say, FSG are not the only ones here, just like Blueco are not the only ones here, just like the City Group are not the only ones here, just like everyone is now starting to hop on board. Everyone wants a multi-club model. And why? Because they have to. I disagree with it. I don't want it. I don't like it, but I get it. This is where football's gone. Football is heading in this way, and it's predominantly down to FFP. Now, is FFP and PSR and all of this getting scrapped? No, it's not. The Premier League, all the leagues, UEFA, everyone's got it in place. Everyone has to work within the framework. It's one of those things where you just have to check in with reality and just go, yeah, you know what? Look, this is it. We have to work with what we got here. We can't change it. Can you change it? Change it. If someone can change it, please. If someone can change it, please, because like I said, I'd get rid of it tomorrow. But do any of us have that power to do so? Do we? It's very easy to go, yeah, of course we do. People have the power. Yeah, people have the power. But do people use power? No, they don't. So now we're talking delusion at this point. It's a fantasy. Actually, it's not delusion. It's a fantasy. You're not going to mobilize enough people consistently to be able to get something like that done. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Football clubs are aware. Football clubs cannot go out and spend. They also need to bear in mind how much revenue they bring in, how much they're bringing in overall, and in turn, they'll know how much they have available in order to spend within the constraints that are there. What a multi-club model does, just like we know, is you are able to get players through your own ecosystem for much less money, with potential and with levels that you can monitor consistently, and you know on the idea of how good players or certain players are. This allows you to bring players in that you know are going to be ready, that have had the chance to develop within your ecosystem. It's exactly what we're doing with Strasbourg. It's exactly what Liverpool clearly here want to do with Getafe. And more will follow suit. This is why I said last season, we may not like it, we may not agree with it, but that's what everyone is doing. That's where football's gone. This new era, this new way of football, this new age, this is it. This is it. Now, unless someone has the capabilities of changing the world, right? Normally it starts with just change yourself first, and then you can start thinking about those that are around you. Then there's nothing else to do except look at how you can try and make this work and maximize the opportunity that is there, even if you don't believe it's of a great opportunity, but you have to work with it. There's no choice. You either adapt or you step aside. You either adapt or you perish. You either step up or you step aside. Pick one. It's as simple as that. It's not just exclusive to Chelsea or to Blueco this. Everyone is looking to head in the same direction. Why? Because financially it makes sense. It's as simple as that. Financially it makes sense. And it makes sense to everybody. And that is what they're going to do. Because for the long term, it's the only thing they can do. This is why Real Madrid are also just constantly going in to get people on a free. Why do you think they're doing that? Real Madrid normally are minted. It's because they're not minted as they used to be. This is why. Financially, it makes sense. Follow the money. You'll find the answers. So let me know your thoughts down below. Much appreciated. And I will catch all of you later on. Video number 2. We'll make sure we get that in later. Have a good one, people. Subscribe, notification bell on. Catch you there in a bit. Take care and peace.